What's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about Novavax, or ticker symbol NVAX. This stock absolutely crushed today. They saw some insane price action, up over 30% on the day, following some great news they released in regard to a new deal with the US government. Alright, so this is a big deal, big numbers. We will first touch on an article that discusses that, so I'll read through that with you guys. We'll establish an understanding of the fundamentals that led to today's price action, and then once we do that, we'll come back to the charts and I'll give you guys my technical perspective on it. Alright, so before we do get into that article, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do gain value from it, or if you were early on Novavax. We've been talking about it for a while here on the channel, so if you have been on the Novavax journey, please give the video a like, and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here and want to catch more content like this. We'll be covering the sector a lot more in the near future. Exciting times, so again, subscribe if you want to catch more. All right, let's get into this article. This is a New York Times article. Not going to read the entire thing. I do recommend you guys go do your own research. Always read the articles and a few other articles if you would like to, but I just felt this one summed it up the best. New York Times article titled, "The U.S. will pay $1.6 billion," so again, huge numbers, "to Novavax for coronavirus vaccine." The Maryland-based company, which has never brought a product to market before, just made the biggest deal to date with the Trump administration's Operation Warp Speed. So again, if you have been following a few of my videos covering the sector in the past, you would be familiar with Operation Warp Speed. But it's pretty much just the Trump administration's initiative to speed up the vaccine manufacturing process as much as possible. All right, so big deal. Again, obviously a key takeaway from this single sentence is that Novavax has not brought a product to market yet. So that does raise a few flags, but let's continue with this article. The federal government will pay the vaccine maker Novavax $1.6 billion to expedite the development of 100 million doses of a coronavirus vaccine by the beginning of next year, the company said on Tuesday. The deal is the largest that the Trump administration has made so far, with the company as part of Operation Warp Speed, the sprawling federal effort to make coronavirus vaccines and treatments available to the American public as quickly as possible. In doing so, the government has placed a significant bet on Novavax, a company based in Maryland that has never brought a product to market. Operation Warp Speed is a multi-agency effort that seeks to carry out President Trump's pledge to make a coronavirus vaccine available by the end of the year, but the full extent of the project is still unclear. Officials have declined to list which vaccines and treatments are part of Operation Warp Speed. In an interview on Sunday, Novavax's president and chief executive Stanley C. Irk initially said he was not sure where in the government this $1.6 billion was coming from. Novavax spokeswoman later said the money was coming from a collaboration between the Health and Human Services Department and the Defense Department. All right, so you would know this about Operation Warp Speed, again, if you have been tuning in. If not, this is just a good example of how willing, again, the government, the United States government, is printing trillions of dollars right now. I think we all know that. And it's just, it makes sense that they're putting so much capital towards the development of a vaccine. Obviously, this has caused one of the greatest economic crises of our lifetimes, probably that we'll ever experience. So it makes sense that they will deploy as much capital as possible to these projects. $1.6 billion, to be honest, is just a drop in the bucket. It is a big number relative to me and you, but in the grand scheme of the fact that we're printing trillions right now, it's literally a drop in the bucket. So it makes sense that they are pushing so much money to all these companies. Again, even a company like Novavax, who hasn't brought a product to market before, but they're just taking shots. All right, they're going for it. All right. This is the last highlight, and then we will move into the charts. Adding Novavax as candidate to Operation Warp Speed's diverse portfolio of vaccines increases the odds that we will have a safe, effective vaccine as soon as the end of the year, Alex M. Azar, the second of Health and Human Services Secretary, said in his statement. All right, so this is not only good news. This statement alone, what I take from this is that there's a lot of potential for other companies within the sector, and I will release a stock talk tomorrow talking about a bunch of the other companies in the sector. Let's just go back here. You see Inovio. And again, if you've been tuned in the channel, you would know this. We talk about these a lot. Inovio, Moderna. Obviously, Inovio did very well today. They did do poorly over the past week. Moderna just been pretty flat. Decent day today. Vaxart, which is one of our more recent positions, up over 30%, even more than Novavax. Sorrento, love Sorrento. A lot of these plays saw a lot of green today. Even plays, interestingly, like CRISPR and Editas, who are not even developing a vaccine, but I love these two companies. They're genetic editing companies. So the whole biotech sector is seeing a lot of green today, which is interesting. And again, a lot of time, you guys, even though these are competitors, and if one does establish like a surefire, effective vaccine, it's likely the rest will see red. But the majority of the time, especially during this process when everything is still like pretty unclear for the most part. Like, there's obviously good news being released, but there's no tangible good news quite yet. A lot of these stocks will see green and move as in unison. All right, so I will make a stock talk on that tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Very exciting times. I do have positions in all of these. But this video is to focus on Novavax. All right, so let's do that. So Novavax, again, up over 30% today. Personally, my call options were up over 150%. So congrats to you guys if you have calls on this. But even if you just hold a stock, like 30%, huge gains in a single day. So it's crazy. Obviously, caused by the catalyst was this news they released, huge $1.6 billion deal, biggest to date. So it's a big deal. All right, technicals. If you guys have been following the channel, like I have been saying, then you would remember this bull flag. Again, we have been tracking Novavax for the past few weeks now, even a couple months maybe. Over its journey, it's been exciting to see like this bull flag play out. This was like the most textbook bull flag I've ever drawn in my life, probably. It is a little elongated, but it played out perfectly and exactly as expected. And yeah, it's just been ripping ever since. Last week, when we did see a correction in Novavax, I was worried that we would see a correction. I personally thought that we might see a correction back down to here, especially because the rest of the sector was just doing well, or was not doing well, I'm sorry. And there just wasn't much news coming out in regard to these stocks. But that's just, it really speaks to the fact that this sector, over any other sector I've ever played in my life, honestly, is so geared towards news, and like and it makes perfect sense. Like the news they release obviously directly impacts the company's well-being and the financials of the company. So it does make sense that the news is the catalyst for this price action. But yeah, Novavax has been ripping. It did gap up today, almost hit a high of $11. And yeah, it went right through this gap. So these two lines I've drawn here, I did make these in a previous stock talk, I think a week or so ago. And these are historical lines. So I did say this is a technical analysis technically, but to all you technical phenoms out there, I'm not going to be using a lot of indicators. I'm not going to be using crazy terminology, so I'm sorry if you are a tech geek. But what I have personally found to be the most effective in this current market environment that's so volatile and so uncertain is just general trend lines and previous historical lines of support and resistance. Okay, so that's what these two are. And I do want to zoom out for you guys because that is, again, what has played the most importance, in my eyes at least. Okay, so you can see here the previous areas of support and resistance I drew were right here. Okay, so you saw Novavax previous, like years ago. So in 2014, what is this, 2016, it did spend a decent amount of time just bouncing around these two areas. And that is why I drew these these two support lines right here. So if we go back to year to date, it's actually interesting to see. Let's actually go back to the hourly. It's interesting to see that it has, so it did bounce prior to obviously jumping up just today. It was using this line that I drew as a decent line of resistance, all right? So it was bouncing off that. It was having a hard time getting above that $90 region. But again, this morning, up over 30%, it gapped straight through that. And then it almost touched right off of this. Again, you guys can go watch the video if you think I just drew these in. But again, it's not perfect too, so it makes sense that I didn't just draw these in. It almost bounced off at, this is what, like this line is like at $113. It was at like $111, $112. So it got really close. That is where it met its first point of resistance in this, like, in this area. So as far as a near-term expectancy, I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce around in this area. Again, it is very rare to see, especially following such great news, it's rare to see a stock move up this significantly and then fall the next day, especially, again, when the fundamentals behind it are so strong. So I would be surprised, honestly, if we didn't see another green day in Novavax tomorrow, maybe 10-15%. And if that does happen, always remember, you guys, it's just my opinion, this could absolutely crash tomorrow. I just personally don't think so, and my money is not on that. I do think that we could see it bridge all the way up to like $150, okay? So again, just very, very basic line. I'm using historical, previous historical lines of support and resistance, okay? So let's go back to the 5-year chart, zoom out a little bit. This gets a little irritating how I have to mess with that. This is a very volatile stock. It's seen a lot of crazy price action over recent times. Okay, so if we do zoom back here, the next area that makes sense in my head is around this area, $150. You can see in the past, again, $150 as well is a great psychological even. So it does make sense that it would hit that, especially with all the bullish fundamental momentum behind it, all the new faces in here. I would not be surprised at all to see it come up to $150. It did spend a lot of time around here in August, in like the summer of 2016, so like 4 years ago. It did use it as a line of resistance back here, bounced right around that line in 2015. It used it as support back in earlier the year in 2015. So it does make sense to me that if we do clear if we do clear about $120 or so, that we could very well see Novavax spike up to $150. Again, big psychological even, especially in this market full of retail traders and newer money. Psychological evens are honestly important, and that's all charts are, you guys. At least in my mind, it's seeing the psychology, okay, and it's using previous patterns of psychological support resistance, especially in this market that is so full of shiny objects and FOMO cycles and bubbles and crazy news and like go. Psychological evens do play a significant role. Not a super significant role, but it's definitely something to consider when you're looking at charts. All right, so that's my take on Novavax right now. I'm very bullish on this. I will say that the bearish case. The more bearish case is, I'll just stick to the daily right here. I will say this, I'll definitely pick up more Novavax stock if it does happen to come back down to the $90 region and bounce. So another big thing that I should have mentioned initially, so I talk about this a lot and I sometimes forget to repeat it, but Novavax is now to 6.6 or 6.06, so just about a $6 billion market cap. And you guys have to remember that Moderna, who is the leader in the space, the OG, Moderna walks so these guys could run kind of thing. Moderna is now at like a $23 billion valuation, okay? So Novavax could 3x from here and still could actually 4x, and it would be about the exact same size as Moderna. So a $400 Novavax share would be the same size as Moderna as far as market cap is concerned. So it is important to keep that in mind. And again, with this great news they released, I would not be surprised at all to see Novavax get to at least a $10 billion market cap. Psychological evens do matter, or again, not directly matter, but it's just something to take into account. In terms of market cap, like a $10 billion market cap makes sense for a company doing such a great thing if they actually prove to be successful in it. Okay, so I'm very bullish on Novavax over the medium to long term for sure. Over the short term, maybe we'll correct back down to 90. If that happens, I will 100% add on to my current position. But if not, I do think if it does, again, if it shoots above 120 to be safe, this line's at like 115, but I will say if it shoots above 120, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it go to 150. All right, so if you guys do want to know my exact Novavax positions or any of the other positions I mentioned here that I will also talk about in the Stock Talk tomorrow, like I said, I have been positioned in all of these companies for a while. All call options for the most part. I do have some stock positions, but my primary positions are made up of call options. If you are interested in that, check out my complete portfolio and daily newsletter. First link down in the description. It's exactly as it states. It's a complete breakdown of all call options, put options, stock positions, even cryptos if you're into it. And along with that, I do send out a newsletter during market hours on every trading day, talking about the trades I made, new positions, old positions, as well as just my current thoughts on the market. It's just more real-time updates for me. I do send it out during market hours, and I upload these later in the day a lot of the time. All right, so check that out if you're interested. If not, no worries. And again, tune in, subscribe for more if you want to keep following this sector. Very excited. I'm more excited about this sector specifically than any other right now. So I will keep you guys posted on this, and I appreciate you guys for watching. So until next time, always remember, you guys, take action, make waves. Peace.